Alrighty. Okay, we'll give it a minute for a couple more people to join if they want to, and then we'll start the notes and go through the homework problems. I'm going to try to adjust my camera here too while we wait. Be easier this way. You know what? I'm just going to try to do it this way. I'll just have to watch out for that. Okay, well, let's get this started. If you were able to print off these note packet here that was on Canvas, we did this first page on Friday. Now we're going to do the back page of that, or the second page for today's. We'll go through in this problem here, this example problem and this example problem together, and then we'll go through the two homework problems as well, as long as somebody's on here. Okay, so let's get this started. What we talked about last time was the equation of a circle, which is the equation of any circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where the center is at the point hk, and then the radius of the circle is r, and we have to square it in there. Okay, so if we have the center and the radius, that's great. What we're going to do today is we're going to be given 2 points. We can say, okay, like this point is over here at 3, 2, and another point is over here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at 4, 6. We have a circle where the diameter endpoints are there. So what we need to do is remember our formula works once we find the center. So if we can find the center of that, which will be the midpoint of those 2 points, we can get our center. And then the radius is the distance. We can make a right triangle, but we'll do the distance formula from the center point to either one of the endpoints, and it doesn't matter which one we pick, and that would be the radius. And then once we get those two pieces of information, we'll plug them into our formula, and there we go. So let's start this up. So I'm going to just leave this formula here. We're going to have to find h, k, and r, and once we find those things, we'll plug them in. So the first example problem, which has some guided notes to go along with us, is, okay, 7, 6, and -1, -8. I'm just going to write that here. All right, so 7, 6, -1, -8. So the first thing we want to do is, if we have those two endpoints, is to find the center. And to find the center, we're going to use the midpoint formula, which is, okay, add them up, divide by 2, add them up, divide by 2. So the center, we're going to add them up. So 7 plus -1, we'll divide that by 2. And then we'll also do 6 plus -8, and we'll divide that by 2. And so the center is at, let's see, that'd be 6 divided by 2, 3. All right, 6 plus -8, that'd be -2 divided by 2, -1. So there we go. We already got our h and k by finding the midpoint. The next thing we want to do is to find the radius. The radius is the distance from the center to either one of these points. I'm going to go to here because there's less negatives. And that's the only reason why. So the distance formula is x sub 1 minus x sub 2. All right, we'll start with it. So it'd be 7 minus 3 squared plus, and then go the other way, 6 minus negative 1 squared. There's other ways to do this too, guys. I'm just going to stick to this convention, so it's all the same. All right, 7 minus 3 is 4, so we're going to do 4 squared. And then plus 6 minus negative 1, that'd be 8 squared. All right, so if we add them up together, let's see, that'd be 16 plus 64, and that'd be the square root of 80. Now, what we could do here is to go through and find out what the square root of 80 is, which is probably like 8.9 something. But there's actually going to be a trick here. Because we're going to square it in our final answer, it's better to leave it right here to get a better answer in the end. So our final answer, we're going to go through, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to replace our h and k. So it's going to be x minus h is 3 squared plus y minus negative 1. So on Canvas, you're going to have to type in minus negative 1. But if this was on paper, we'd put plus 1 squared. And then equals r squared. Well, r is radical 80. If we square it, it cancels out the square root. So we just said equals 80. So there's the first answer in the notes. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is to go through the next example problem. So just so you guys can see the pattern here and repeat it. Next example problem, very similar. Same thing, we just have 3, 1, and 9, negative 7. So I'm just going to erase that. So we got the points 3, 1, and 9, negative 7. Okay. Wouldn't. Would it be 7, not 8? Oh, did I mess up? For which one, Riley? What I just did? Oh man, I just erased it too. 7, not 8. Would it be 7? For the midpoint or for the radius? I'm going to go through the next one. If I do the same mistake, let me know right away. I'll be watching you, Riley. See if your question pops up. All right, so we got 3, 1, and 9, negative 7. All right, so the center is where we take our x's together and divide by 2. So we got 3 plus 9. We'll divide that answer by 2. And then we got 1 plus the negative 7 when we are finding the radius. Oh, did I mess up? It's always going to be the center. I'll double check that. Oh, geez. Yeah, I must have made a mistake. It says since radical 65. I'll have to go through. What was it? The center was at 3. So x minus, so it'd been 4 squared, which would be 16, right? And then the other one's at negative 1. Oh, it would have been 7. You're right. Yep. It would have been 7, so that would have been 16 plus 49. So yeah, I did make a mistake. Thank you, Riley. Good catch. But yeah, the radius would have been radical 65, which would have meant it would have been an equal 65 at the end and not 80, what I had. Good catch. Nice call. Okay, I'll try to not make that mistake again here. All right, so the center, we add them up. 3 plus 9 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. 1 plus negative 7 is negative 6, divided by 2 is negative 3. So there is the center. Is that 6, -3. All right, so the radius, we got to go from the center and go to either one of these points. I'm going to go to that one here because there's less negatives. And I just said that even though last time I just made a mistake with the negatives. Okay, so we got 3 minus 6 squared plus 1 minus -3 squared. All right, 6 minus 3 is a -3 that we'll have to square. 1 minus -3, I'm double checking this now. That'd be 4 squared. Alrighty, now what we'll do here is we'll square this. -3 squared is a +9. 4 squared is a +16, and we'd add them up together and we get 25. Now, we could go through and say that the radius is 5, but remember, we're going to use our formula later, so there's really no point of once you get down here to simplify it, since we're just going to go ahead and plug it in. So the answer to our problem, the equation here would be, hey, what's my dog barking at? Let's see, it's going to be x minus h, which is 6 squared, plus y minus k, -3. So I'm going to put a +3, but on Canvas you have to put minus and -3, equals r squared. Well, r is the square root of 25, and if we square it, it just becomes a regular 25. Okay, that one should be good. All right, so we got those two example problems. Looks like a couple people are still here, so I'll go through the homework problems, help you guys out. So the first homework problem, we got -3, 8, and 7, 6. Let's see, -3, 8, and the 0.76. Okay, so to find the center, what we need to do is to add up the x's and divide by 2. So -3 plus 7, we'll divide that by 2. 8 plus 6 with the y's, divide that by 2. So the center of the circle is going to be located at -3 plus 7 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we got the center is at 2, 7. Next thing that we want to do is to take this center, which is at 2, 7, and find the distance from either point. I'm going to use that one there, less negatives. Hopefully it works out better. All right, so I'm going to do 7 minus 2 squared plus 6 minus 7 squared. Alrighty, so the distance, 7 minus 2 is 5. 6 minus 7 is a -1. So 5 squared is 25. -1 squared is a +1. And so the radius would be radical 26. Which, remember, there's no point of simplifying that or reducing that because we're going to square it when we plug it into our answer. So the answer for number 1 on the homework today is x minus 2 from the center squared plus y minus 7 squared equals, if the radius is radical 26 and we need to square it, we just put a regular 26 there. So that should be what you type in for those 3 blanks on Canvas. Okay, we'll do the next one, and then we'll call it a day. Okay. Alrighty, so next one we have a -18, 7 and 4, -1. Okay. So we got to find the center again by adding up the x's, dividing by 2, and adding the y's, dividing by 2. So we got -18 plus 4 and 7 plus a -1. All right, negative 18 plus 4 is a negative 14 divided by 2. It's a negative 7. 7 plus a negative 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2, 3. So there's the center. Okay, next we're going to find the radius by finding the distance between the center and either one of those points. I'm just going to do the second one. It's smaller numbers. We'd get the same thing if we do that one there. But let's see. We got 4 minus negative 7 squared plus negative 1 minus 3 squared. All right, so 4 minus negative 7, that's 4 plus 7, that's 11 squared, plus negative 1 minus 3 is a negative 4. Now when we square those, 11 squared is 121. Negative 4 squared is 16. We add them together, and that would be 137. Radical 137. So the answer for the second problem on the homework today would be x minus. Now, it is minus and negative 7, so on Canvas you have to put minus and negative 7, but I'm going to put a plus 7 here, because still going to pretend that we're in normal school. All right, then we got y minus k, which k would be y minus 3, equals r squared. Well, if r is radical 137, and we got to square it, cancels out the radical, and so it equals 137. All right, so there's your answers. All right. Do you guys have any questions or anything? That's just going to be today's short, simple lesson. Everybody doing all right here? Okay. I'll give it a minute to see if anybody has any questions. If not, I'll end it right there. My computer just turned off. All right, no problem. You guys have a good one. Bye.